explosion. Then I heard the doctor voice out of Pennsylvania, saying we must forge a new pathway. No single small island state can ever withstand the global trends as they are today. Dr. Gonsalves say it's time to get the show on the road. It's dead and ahead, and so we must change the course. We leaders must get on the selfish mode. Another 10 years like this and then all is lost. We want one great passport, one regional currency, political union for all. Throughout this territory, one civilization. Aiming to survive, the deadline to get the world living by. Listen to the doctor.
Help, murder, feeling the pain, we can't take the pressure. Pain, we crying. Somebody got to do something. Right now we really need a Messiah. Don't take me out of this big disaster. For everything at all, look, we try it all in vain. Rich or poor, black or white, we feeling this pain. Send it, Belmont, Citrus, and Diablo. Somebody gotta do something. Somebody gotta fix something. Somebody do something. Somebody gotta run something. Losses today and no gain. Hell, fire. Somebody got to ease up the pressure. Like nobody seems to care about the war. All them rich people close up the door. And who are here to carry with
Star Radio 98.3 and 104.7.
Yeah,
This is where we get the program on the way. Morning Comrade.
Belmont, Labre, Arima. Somebody gotta run something.
And the Comrade is already in studio.
Somebody.
We are already live on Star Facebook page. And from next week, we will be live on YouTube as well. So you have several platforms you can watch the Comrade on. But for now, we are live on Facebook, and the Comrade is in studio with us. And you know, when you hear this, you know it's Morning Comrade.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, every single Comrade. In St. Vincent and Grenadine. Good morning, all the people of our blessed land. Good morning to our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and elsewhere.
Through a storm,
at the moment in here, St. Vincent and Grenadine, we are walking through a dangerous enemy storm. We got to hold your head up high.
Be afraid.
And do not be afraid of the darkness engendered by the backward enemy government. I want you to be sure that at the end of the storm, this NDP storm, there'll be a golden sky with the ULP. And metaphorically, you'll hear the sweet songs of the wonderful birds. You gotta still walk on. Walk on in the rain, in the storm, and in the wind.
Walk on to the rain,
Mash up your dreams, shatter them and have them strewn all about. Keep your dreams for a better world, for yourself and your family and your nation. You gotta walk on with fresh hope in your heart and love and faith in Almighty God. In solidarity with you'll never walk alone. Do not walk alone. Labor is here with you and the comrade. Breath in my body, I'm here with you. When you walk in through a storm, the NDP storm, hold your head up high. And don't be afraid of the NDP darkness. Be afraid of the dark. They are princes and princesses of darkness. That's how they conceive of themselves. At the end of the storm, there's a golden sky. Oh yes, at the end there's a golden sky. And the sweet silver song. Sweet silver songs of the lark. Beautiful bird. Comrades and friends, I'm happy to be here with you on today, Wednesday the 29th of July. Wednesday the 29th of July. At the moment that I'm speaking, the funeral service of Sir Garfield Sobers is on at Kensington Oval. I know some persons would probably be viewing it, but this program, if you're not on it and you're focusing on Sir Garfield Sobers' funeral, you can see us later. Same thing if you just want, if you want to listen to this and listen to Sir Garfield's funeral at the same time or whatever, that would also be played over. I would listen to it too. And I will view it on their broadcast, because that would be rebroadcast over and over. Yep. I pay tribute to Sir Garfield Sobers here on this radio station. I pay tribute to him in Parliament. I pay tribute to him on the radio station in Barbados. I made mention of that a couple programs ago. I sent my condolences to my dear comrade sister Mia Montley, the Prime Minister of Barbados. I tried to get her last night, and she tried to get me back, but we missed one another. I wanted to tell her that unfortunately I wasn't going to be able to make it this morning. Part of the problem is that I couldn't get out this morning in time to get there. Not with any reliable transportation, air transportation.
You understand?
And I couldn't go last night because there is a dear friend of mine died yesterday, Viga Hadshaw. Viga Hadshaw, she was a grandmother to Aluko Dublin. Actually, Vincent Beach's family too. Vincent of blessed memory. Because she was 85 years old, so I had to go and see the family. And I went up there last evening. I went up with Sarai. You know, there are some families you just have to turn up in person now.
Yep.
That's how close I was with Viga. A strong supporter of me personally and of the ULP. Also Prim. Prim died a few days earlier. So I had to make that beeline in my constituency to see persons who are family members who are suffering, who are feeling pain and anguish. So I couldn't have traveled to Barbados last night, for instance. But I'm there in spirit with Mia and the rest of the government and people of Barbados, with all the mourners of Sir Garfield Sobers, National Hero of Barbados. I'm missing my first cousin's funeral, Sharon Francis, Julian's sister. That funeral is tomorrow.
Yes.
But I've written a tribute. I've been asked to do a tribute, and Camilo will deliver it. Camilo is coming in today from overseas. He was gone overseas to the US with his daughter, who was on a 1-month educational activity, post secondary educational activity. So Camilo would deliver the tribute on my behalf. It's written and ready for him. I want to just remind everybody that election petition cases, they're on. Yesterday I went there first thing to show my solidarity with everybody. I got a report last night from Carlos James and from Senior Counsel Stuart Young as to how things transpired. And we seem to be moving pretty okay. Of course, complicated case with many legal twists and turns. But there's an experienced judge, Justice Thorne, who was once in the Court of Appeal and who is now in retirement, has been recruited to sit on the High Court bench here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And she has heard many election petition cases before, so this is not her first rodeo. She has been there, done that. We have a team at the Commonwealth Games, and I think it would be true to say that the most outstanding of the athletes there would be Shafika Maloney. I haven't been seeing a lot of reports being made about Shafika. I got in touch with Shafika yesterday to find out how things are going. As you know, the ULP government supported her very well in her preparation for the Olympics in Paris, where she came fourth. An excellent performance. We all had hoped that she would have medaled, but she won her first heat. She feels good. She's in good shape. Unfortunately, her coach is not there with her, because I think it's a question of resources now. But she's in good spirits, and she's supposed to run again tonight. But she's in the finals and for Friday night. Yes. I don't know the time yet, but I will watch her when I go to England tonight. Well, I arrive there tomorrow, the 30th. And Friday is the 31st. The Commonwealth Games are taking place in Scotland. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be. When I go to England, I have business to go to Scotland from London before I return on the 12th. But I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be there for Friday night in Scotland. I'm really sorry about that, but I will watch her. They'll broadcast it live so that I'll see her in the finals.
Yes.
There are a couple of good. Well, there are some very good athletes who's going to provide a lot of good competition for her. There's a young Kenyan who I don't think ran in Paris, and then there was another English athlete. An English athlete. There was an English athlete that come first, but I don't think she's in the Commonwealth Games. Well, come first in Paris. I don't think she's in the Commonwealth Games. But there's another one. But I'm sure she'll do us proud. I'm hopeful that she's getting all the requisite support from the government. I know that she hasn't been getting assistance in any meaningful way from the Athletics Association here. I don't know if it's a scarcity of resources or what. I know that historically. At least I've been so advised. But I don't think the government is doing enough to support Shafiqa. You know, for a professional athlete, you need a lot of resources.
Yep.
And if she were because I as I've said, she has been our best performer at the Olympics. Fought in a very big signature race, the 800 meters women. I leave, as I said before, for the UK this evening. Both personal and professional reasons. I return on the 12th of August. I have to be back in time for a court engagement for my client, young Anthony Keir Thomas, who was accused of the offense of murder, that she had murdered a man called Winston Macmillan a few months ago at Connery. Well, everybody knows the news. Seeking to do, and I want to explain it as clearly as I can possibly do, clearly and succinctly. So we file a constitutional motion for redress under Section 16 of the Constitution. And we filed this motion against the Attorney General of St. Vincent Grenadines and the Director of Public Prosecutions. This application for constitutional redress for Anthony Keir Thomas, a minor who is 16 years old and who's been joined by a mother in this particular matter. Antonique is a claimant, and the AG and the DPP are the defendants. And the matter came up on, I was hoping it would have come up earlier, because we had filed a certificate of urgency. But be that as it may, it came up on Monday the 27th. And the matter, the constitutional matter has not been, there have been directions given on the constitutional matter, but during the preliminaries on the constitutional matter, the issue of bail arose for her. And we made a formal application for bail with the requisite affidavit. And there was appropriate response from the Attorney General, Director of Public Prosecution. And the upshot of all of it is that Justice Thorne granted bail to Antonique. I believe it's the first time that we have had bail for a murder accused. And I'd explain why is it that this has not been happening. And to give an idea as to why this, to give some view as to why bail was granted. So in that sense, it's a historic occurrence judicially here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I must say that the AG's office and the DPP office, they were quite professional in their work. But we also had a good team. The team which I assembled for the constitutional matter, the team consisted of, well, myself, because I had carriage of the case, but this is a case which, from the beginning, I saw that it's not a straightforward issue of dealing with a murder case, but I didn't mind that we proceeded with a constitutional motion to address the bail question. The team I put together there's me, there's Ronnie Marks, there's Camilo, there's Camilo's wife, who was former Solicitor General Karen Duncan Gonsalves, and assisted too by Graham Bollers. So it's quite a team. And as I say, we filed the constitutional motion. Well, on the matter as it appeared, Ronnie Bollers and I appeared in person, and Camilo, who was overseas, got permission to appear, as is normal in these days, appear by video conference. And he addressed the court by video, by the video conferencing facility of the court. Now, let me explain how we are shaping this constitutional motion for redress. And I might have to take this particular call. Anyway, I'll call them back later. The important call coming in. There is a law in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Section 43 of the Criminal Procedure Code. And there was, in the original code, as it was for time immemorial, a blanket ban against bail for anyone accused of murder. In 1993, that provision was altered by an amendment, but it still imposes an unqualified amendment, an unqualified prohibition on any consideration for bail by a judge for a period of up to 9 months or period at the conclusion of the preliminary inquiry, whichever time is shorter. So basically, the written law said you can't get bail for murder unless there's an expiration of time of 9 months or the PI has been held, the preliminary inquiry. No. The truth is that it is clear that on the face of it, to our view, that Section 43 of the Criminal Procedure Code violates a number of guarantees enshrined in the Constitution of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And what are these guarantees? Guarantees are the right to liberty, the presumption of innocence, the protection of the law and separation of powers between the legislature and the judiciary, and that pretrial detention occur only upon the order of a court. Pretrial detention, that is to say, after you're charged, before you hear the PI, the section is saying that you can't have bail. But the Constitution makes it plain that the pretrial detention can only occur upon an order of the court. That the Parliament can't usurp this right for an individual to approach the court on any offense for bail, and in this case for murder. So we are contending that Section 43 of the Constitution, Section 43 of the Criminal Procedure Code, violates these constitutional guarantees, and the claimant, Antonique, also is contending through the lawyers that every day that you have a detention, each ongoing day represents a violation of our constitutional rights. And for those of you who want to read the Constitution, you will see that the protection of the right to personal liberties in Section 3 of the Constitution. The protection of the law is under Section 8, and Section 12 addresses the protection of freedom of movement, because if you're locked up, it means that you can't move freely. In substance, the proposition is clearly dangerous if one insists that the state is entitled to charge somebody and lock them up and automatically deprive them of their liberty for up to 9 months without any individualized judicial determination of the appropriateness of that detention. Doesn't mean that when you apply for bail that you will get bail, because each case there are differences between one kind of murder and another kind. Yeah. And there are differences between the individuals who are charged for having committed this offense of murder. And what we are simply saying is that, look, the court, in this case the High Court, would say whether you should get bail or not. And there have to be the individual, even while you weigh the severity of the offense of murder, you have to weigh that, of the charge of the offense of murder, you have to weigh that by the nature of that particular murder. And you have to also, very importantly, treat it in an individualized way. The person who is charged, this person who is charged, and I will come to that shortly, is one who, if she couldn't get bail, I don't know who else could have gotten bail. And I'll outline what are why I say something like that. Now, I want to repeat that we are not saying that when you go to before the judge has to give you bail, but the judge has to consider it, whether to grant or not, and to give individualized attention to pretrial detention. Because if that doesn't happen, it means that the parliament itself is saying they could lock you up for 9 months once you're charged with murder. And our view is that you have to go before the judge, and let the judge determine whether you should get bail or not. And this is the nub of it. And here, in the case of this young lady, I'm not going to talk about the details of the offense. That will come up when we have the PI and when we go to trial at the criminal assizes, if we get to the trial of the criminal assizes. And is a 16-year-old girl. She doesn't even have a passport. Naturally, she's 16, she doesn't have a voter's ID card. She's not employed. She went to secondary school in Connery at George Stevens. She's of very limited means. So there's no question of that there's a flight risk. She's not a danger to the community. There's no suggestion that she would go and do anything to anybody or interfere with weaknesses or conspire to pervert the course of justice. None of these things. She ain't going to run away. It's a matter of the fact that it's murder by itself shouldn't represent the ban. It is the nature of all the circumstances which take into account. Of course, when we file the constitutional motion, and I should point out that the formal name of the firm which filed the constitutional motion is Duncan Gonsalves Legal Chambers and Policy Advisory, and consists of Karen and Camilo and myself. And of course, I got Ronnie involved. You know, when I was practicing law and when Ronnie was at university and law school and so forth, he came and did in service by me. And after he had been called to the bar, he worked with me at my chambers, so that we naturally close in this regard. And when I decided to take up this case, I went I asked him to come along and naturally to have Camilo and Karen involved. We got Baller's assistance too. Though Ballers doesn't practice in criminal law. The application to the High Court for constitutional redress. Ballers has done many constitutional motions. Many issues touching and concerning these questions which are being raised, not specifically in relation to Section 43 of the Criminal Procedure Code, which we're claiming is unconstitutional, which we are insisting is unconstitutional because of the absolute and unqualified prohibition on any consideration for bail for a period of up to 9 months or until the PI is determined, whichever is sooner. No. People come to me, and I just want to say this. A lot of people come to me since I've been no longer Prime Minister for me to do this and that case. And I refer them to other people, and I advise other people. But you know, this young lady, the way I had to do this case is because of my connection with this young lady family, things which this young lady don't know about, and to tell her. Because the morning after the incident, when her grandfather called me, my ankle was sprained. In fact, I went to the Georgetown police station walking with a stick and in sandals. So when I was walking with lifting up Sarai, took her for a morning walk. After she'd walked a while, she wanted lifted up. And on the uneven surface, my ankle twisted a little. Nothing more than a sprain. But after 2 days, it's swollen and hurting. I got involved because her great-grandfather and I went to primary school together in Connery barefooted. He was a supporter of mine. And that, he's now dead. Errol parents. I knew them when I was a little boy in Connery. And they were poor as church mice. But they were very generous to all of us little boys, playing cricket and going about, swimming in the river. And I remember them with great fondness for their kindness. And as I say, her great-grandfather and I were friends from primary school days in Connery. And until we grew up and I get involved in politics and he is supportive of me. So I had to respond. It was as simple as that. But it doesn't mean that I'm available to go to court for every matter somebody has a problem with. Because I could advise. I will decide which cases that I will do, on what basis I will do them. But I provide a lot of advice to people. Down to yesterday, I walking about town. A lady came to me. I sat by Richie Bar, at Heritage Square before it was opened, and she said she has a case, and she said she wants to ask me some question and advice. And advise her, she has a lawyer, she has a good lawyer, but she still wanted to get advice. And I gave her the advice, as I do to many, many persons on the phone. People call me from overseas. So that is how I'm functioning. But from the standpoint of the legal matters, I do other advisories, consultancies. I'm available for them. And But this one I had to be deeply involved. I noticed that Eyewitness News carried a story, but the spin they put on the story, you can count on them because they become a part of the state media since NDP has come to office. Of course, it's owned by Kenton Eyewitness News, who is an ambassador to Taiwan. And I hope that I hope Kenton is not writing all these political things or political slanted things or anything for that matter while he's doing his job as ambassador. Because he'll have to get permission from the authorities, and in the authorities meaning here the Public Service Commission, to do such activity. So I say I don't know, but they're part of the state media. 3 years ago, there was a symposium on crime, regional symposium in Trinidad. And I made the point that there's some judges behave as though they're on Mars by giving bail for murder, cases involving murder. I wasn't saying that bail must not be considered by a judge. I had received reports from authorities from Trinidad, Barbados, the Bahamas, not from any OACS country, and where the door is opened for bail for murder accused, that some judges are considered in some of these countries, or the way some judges took decisions, too liberal, and that they have given bail to some people who shouldn't, by reasonable assessments, been granted bail. And that is what I was complaining about the situations. You have to be very careful under the circumstances under which somebody is charged for murder, that you grant them bail. But you can't ban the person from applying for bail. You can have a law which on the face of it says you can't get bail. Put a prohibition on bail for up to 9 months, as we do in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It hadn't been challenged before, and now we are challenging it. What you have to do is to take the accused person to court, and the accused person gets the opportunity, goes to court, and the judge makes, upon a proper application, an individualized assessment in relation to bail, and the law in relation to bail as to why you should grant bail or not grant bail. The law is quite well established. It's a question of applying the principles on which bail, based on which bail should be granted in each particular case. And there's a sense that sometimes bail is granted where it ought not to have been granted by any reasonable assessment. And that is what I was making an adverse comment about, because it was the comments were made within a particular context of a conversation which was going on at this conference. But I wasn't making a case against individualized judicial determination, pre-trial for bail, because it would mean bling if you can't apply. And if a law in Parliament says that you can't apply until the expiration of 9 months. The DPP, the police gets evidence, the DPP charges you. If they charge you for manslaughter, you would then be able to have bail considered. But if you charge for murder, you can't get it. But the DPP makes that decision. Yeah. Of course, the DPP would make the decision on the best of his judgment in relation to the facts of the case, and also the public interest. These are considerations which are taken into account. But you must have a judicial determination. And so that while the bail has been granted in the case of Antonique, the substantive constitutional motion about the Section 43 of the Criminal Procedure Code still is to be determined. And the judge has given directions of that, going all the way up as to when submissions have to be made. Well, our submissions are pretty much ready to be put in court, the draft submissions. And through the case management going forward, we have been given a date in February next year for the substantive constitutional motion to be heard. So that is the story from an informed standpoint. In summary, I want to thank the entire legal team. I want to thank Camilo for his response to the DPP on a prior question which the DPP raised, and Camilo provided the answer to that in his rebuttal. And once the legal issues were clearly satisfied, the factual questions relating to this young lady was such that she getting bail is not something which anybody should be worried about. She's not a threat to the society. She interfering in no weaknesses. She's no flight risk. Nothing where a judge will want to make a decision against somebody getting bail. And we will find out pretty shortly the strength of the case which the prosecution has. We have already received disclosure of witness statements, and hopefully we will get the criminal proceedings advancing. There's a tentative date set for sometime around the middle of August. But the community of Connery is very happy to see Antonique back last night in her family home. I spoke to her this morning. She has to report 3 times a week as part of the bail conditions, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at the Connery Police Station. Normally these things wouldn't be detailed, but because I'm involved, and because it is, and very importantly, because it is the first time that you have bail in a murder case here, as far as I know, certainly in living memory, that it has made news. But I don't want the news to be made in relation to Ralph. The news have to be made in relation to the principles, the legal principles in relation to bail, and the authority of the court to hear the application for bail and grant bail, and the issues as I've summarized them earlier, which is another dimension. The question of seeking constitutional redress in relation to Section 43 of the Criminal Procedure Code, which we contend is unconstitutional. Now, it is true that you haven't had this kind of work being done, because most persons who are charged with murder, the individuals have difficulty even raising the money to pay a lawyer. First to come to take the case for the retainer, then for the PI, preliminary inquiry, and then for the trial itself. That itself is a big, big expense. And then in the midst of that, to have a constitutional challenge, which require particular legal skills, that would have been another big cost, so that a bundle of circumstances have brought us to the situation where this young lady is getting legal representation on the basis which I've just outlined. And once I had acted in the way in which I responded to her grandfather, then naturally when I got called Ronnie was willing to come aboard because of our closeness, and of course when I requested of Camilo and Karen, and Bollers. So, and I want to thank the team for their work.
Of course.
And so that is where we are, and I believe always in teamwork. No. And we had an experienced judge hearing the matter. I want to, while I'm dealing with issues of rights, I know a lot of our programs deal with interests, and we deal with rights too, but I want to focus a little bit more on rights. You know, we have a government, apart from the fiscal and economic crisis enveloping the country and the suffering and hardship of people, simultaneously alongside that, we are having undemocratic tendencies of this government in plain view. And it's only a few months. And I just highlight some of the things because sometimes people forget them, because they form a chain of events from which you can draw reasonable inferences or conclusions.
Yep.
Let's take the first one. Very early in the day, Friday engaged his son to be in the Prime Minister's office with a role. I raised a question in Parliament. The Speaker blocked the question. I raised the question in public. What is this young man's role? It's nothing against the young man. The Public Service Commission is not involved in anything with this. Here it is that government is not just a family affair. And when people try to say, well, you and Camilo were in government together, Camilo was elected.
And you're asking the same question thousands of Vincentians want to know. Why is he there?
What is his role? What is his role? What documents are available to him? Oath of secrecy.
Yeah.
Has he taken it? As I said, it is better if, I would much prefer that the young man be given a contract subject to the rules of the Public Service Commission.
Yep.
So that there would be clarity.
Yep.
It's not a monarchy. You can't just bring a family member in to the court on Friday, COURT. It's not a family enterprise. You know, it's not a Syrian store that you bring in. A Syrian bring in the daughter or the son. You know what I mean? It's not like that. Or my brother Randy, with Randy Supermarket. What he does with his supermarket and who he brings in family members, that's his business, because that's not the public business, that is a private business. No, but not. Same thing with the Graves family, and all power to them. And I'm very pleased to see all, many younger members of the Graves family doing training and everything like that, and assuming business roles. It's a wonderful thing for the development of their family business and for the country. Wonderful thing. But this is such an unusual thing to have, to bring somebody in, your son, and you're not prepared to answer any question about it. The answer that is not being paid by the government. That's neither here nor there.
No.
In fact, it's better he be paid by the government and subject to the rules. But at the moment, everything is just personalized, and nobody knows anything. And the speaker stopped me from asking the question.
Legitimate question.
Huh? So that shows a disregard of the principles of transparency and undemocratic to the core. Then the first substantial business session of the new parliament after the budget, what did Friday bring? He brought 2 bills, self-serving bills, to protect he and Bramble in a court matter where the matter was live, was ongoing, the case filed and everything, and they want to make it retrospective to the commencement of the Constitution in 1979 on an issue which the court is to determine, that is to say, whether Canada is a foreign country, a foreign power, and that he and Friday and Bramble, by virtue of their naturalization of citizens and the oath they take, oath of allegiance, and their adherence, they obtaining passports, and they also volunteered the information, they travel on the passports, and Canadian passport for convenience.
In part, they are admitted.
So, but let the court decide that. But they now want to say Canada is not a foreign power. And that all, so it doesn't matter if we have citizenship or passport of Canada, we can't have any adherence. And to a foreign power because it's not a foreign power. Well, these are matters for determination in the case which is going on, which the second day is taking place today. But it shows a condition of panic. But far more than that, they gave 7 days notice for that bill, for those 2 bills. 7 days notice, no discussion in the public, to have the bill come to Parliament. Of course, we protested. They felt the heat.
Of course.
They put it off for consultations, but brought it back again until I raised it here the day before Parliament. Say, but what kind of thing is happening here? Then the next day when I appeared to Parliament in July, on July the 2nd, I saw a new other paper say deferred. No, this lack of transparency and this undemocratic tendency, you have to keep your eye out to arrest it, because that is their instinct.
That's the instinct.
And I'm giving you what they've been doing, I'm giving you some, you will know others.
What about the transfer of powers from Friday to liquor
Well,
responsibilities?
I will come to there's a slightly different matter. The government, through the parliament, the majority in the parliament, accord the Minister of National Security powers normally reserved for the Public Service Commission in the appointment of quote-unquote servants of the Crown. As I outlined in the debate on the Advanced Passenger Information and Personal Name Record Bill. And the same thing which was done in the Daily Paid and Minor Salaried Compassionate Gratuity Bill, where Leacock could determine in that bill who get compassionate gratuity or not.
Yep. And then he gets the final say.
You know, it's one man. In a matter we're dealing with compassionate gratuity. Then, a fourth one where they're criminalizing whistleblowing in their audit amendment bill which they just passed.
Yep.
Criminalize it. They say that
I think you need to expand on that.
they say, look, there are provisions before in the Audit Act. Because there was an Audit Act first, then we did a new Audit Act, brought it, modernized it up to date with a consultancy, with a consultant from Canada, as we did for the financial administration bill, as we did for the procurement bill. You know, there's a slew of legislation strengthening the machinery of government and good governance. So, and in that law, it spoke to issues of the professionalism of audits and the like. But it didn't criminalize if somebody give out any information that you could jail them. They say, no, it's not jail, you just fine them $10,000. First of all, what they've done is to criminalize somebody leaking information.
Yep.
Criminalizing. Not to take it as a disciplinary matter internally, you know. An employment matter, in an administrative matter. No, they elevate it to something criminal. And they put in the bill that such a person could be fined up to $10,000 by the court. So people say, well, they just fine. No. The criminal code at section 29 has a procedure. And the law is laid down that if there is any law made by Parliament which prescribes a fine but didn't put an alternative imprisonment, it is open to the court to provide imprisonment in accordance with a schedule of fines. From $20 is a 1 week, right up. If it's more than $500, you can get up to a year. So where it say $10,000, say reading in it $10,000 or 1 year. In other words, even though, so they bring the bill to camouflage it, to make it appear that there's no jail term. But there's a criminal code, section 29, which already says that if you are fined more than $500, failure to pay the fine, you can go to jail for up to a year. So it's criminalizing fining or confining. Fining or confining. You can either, you get a fining, if you don't pay it, you could be confined in jail. Then, fifth, I'm giving I'm giving 7 examples. Just to recap, I get the first one about Friday Sun. The second one, the self-serving citizenship bills. Amend the Constitution retrospectively. The third one, according to giving the Minister of National Security certain powers normally reserved for the Public Service Commission in the appointment of certain servants of the Crown, as made is evident in the Advanced Passenger Information and Personal Name Bill. And then, of course, the way in which it determines who can get pay, the severance pay for, in relation to persons who are pensionable. No minister can take it away now if they have any misbehavior. For that to be done, it has to be done. One law says the Governor General, the other says Cabinet. Well, Governor General means Cabinet because the Governor General have to advise. The Cabinet will have to advise the Governor General. But the minister, those issues were raised, they just brushed past those. Then, the fourth one I just spoke about, the whistleblowing for the Audit Amendment Bill. Then we see Leacock, fifth, Leacock seeking to usurp the powers of the Police Service Commission in the appointment and promotion of senior officers. The man had a press conference saying Smith, who is a station sergeant, is going to go from station sergeant to assistant commissioner. He's going to skip four ranks. He is saying so, And then he says he will be assigned the job as head of human resources to hire people, to make recommendations about promotions and the like. No, two things wrong with that announcement. First of all, Leacock has nothing to do with the appointment of any police officer. What he can do as Minister of National Security, say to the commissioner, I'm thinking about you making this recommendation. And when the recommendation comes to go to the Police Service Commission through the permanent secretary, he could say, well, why don't you consider John Brown rather than Ephraim Burke? So behind the scenes, you could talk and see if you could exercise some influence for consideration. Mm-hmm. But the way promotions go, Bling, understand this. Promotions, people who become police officers that selection is done by the police force, by the commissioner and his team. That's a process of management function. Promotions from constable to corporal to sergeant, that's the business of the commissioner of police. Then you becoming station sergeant and above, to below the position of deputy commissioner and commissioner. The commissioner would make recommendations. The commissioner doesn't send the recommendations to the Police Service Commission himself. The commissioner sends them to the permanent secretary. And the permanent secretary, before the permanent secretary sends them to the Police Service Commission, the permanent secretary will show the minister I said, these are the recommendations being made by the commissioner. And the minister can then have a word with the commissioner and the PS about this or that person. But the minister can't send a recommendation to the police service commission. You understand me? The minister would have to persuade the commissioner and the PS that John Brown name should go forward instead of Ephraim Buck. So when Lika come out with that, he thinks he's the commissioner of police, and he thinks that he's the police service commission. Completely gutting the Constitution in terms of appointment to the Police Service Commission and the Police Act in relation to the Commissioner of Police. And by suggesting that Smith be given that Smith is going to be the man in charge of human resource, that's a management function for the Commissioner of Police, not Leacock. So when I say that Leacock want to run, one of the problems why you having so much confusion in the police force, Leacock wants to be running the force as if he's Commissioner of Police. But if you want to be Commissioner of Police, be Commissioner of Police. You know what I mean? There's not a vacancy, but in any case, he'd be too old to be Commissioner of Police because he's 70-something years old. Now, in the same light, he announced who is going to be the Deputy Commissioner of Police. Well, again, that is not in Leacock's place. The only person who is now involved, who is a politician, for Deputy Commissioner and Commissioner, is the Prime Minister, who has to provide his advice to the to the Police Service Commission for those positions. So we are seeing throughout, I'm giving you lack of transparency and undemocratic tendencies of the state administration under the NDP. Now, I'm not saying that the person whose name he mentioned to be Commissioner of Police, Deputy Commissioner of Police, is not somebody who is perfectly qualified, who is, well, reasonable persons, let me put it this way, would say that he's not somebody who would occupy the office in a manner which is unworthy. You know, that he's somebody who you can reasonably put to be Deputy Commissioner, but it's not in his place to announce that. And of course, in the case of Smith, the thing is even more egregious. Where a man is a politician for 5 years. He could have come back anytime he wanted after the COVID pandemic had passed, and we welcome back everybody. And most people who had left came back. Only some recalcitrants decided that they weren't going to come back until the government changed. For all kind of different reasons. But so Smith was a politician for 5 years, General Secretary of the party, the NDP. Mm-hmm. You want to skip a politician so many rounds, and then you determining as a fellow politician that he be put in charge of human resource, politicizing and the police force. Completely unacceptable. Then, number 6, the firing of public sector employees across the public sector. All over. They relieve people of this job, that job. In the case of the yes mobilizers and coordinators, there are 30 of them, they fire 28. And they employ 28 people, all of whom support the NDP. You will hear more about that, that this matter I've already, just last week I spoke to the lawyer who we have entrusted the matter to. And I told him that constitutional issues arise. And I've made myself available to be part of that constitutional exercise. And once I'm part of it, the law firm with which I'm associated, Duncan Gonsalves, I'll have the whole firm involved. And then this is a personal one, where they deny me security, personal security, which I offered to Sir James and to Anim. They took what they wanted, and even the light. I've been advised that the former Governor General wrote the Prime Minister and saying, listen, I've spoken to the Minister of National Security before, that is Leacock. You're duty bound to provide appropriate security for the former Prime Minister. And I understand she gave the reasons. That's what I've been advised. So there are more than these,
Of course.
The way they're denying people assistance. I have here on my phone different persons who want to go to teachers' college, where we used to provide help through LATO or through the government itself. They say, take a loan.
Yeah.
Ordinary people persons who are poor, marginalized, vulnerable, they're denying requests to them everywhere in the government service. And those who have got lands and houses, they want to take them away.
Yep.
Well, of course, they'll have a fight on their hand for that. And I'm telling people, just give me the information, because I'll fight them in the courts on it. I'll fight them in the courts on it. If you have evidence that there was improper, meaning illegal processes for the allocation of houses or lands, bring it in open. Let me test it. Let me test what you have in open court. I don't mind that. I don't afraid court, So there are some rights issues and there are interest issues which this government is failing the country on. No. We haven't seen yet. Oh, let me just deal with the matter which you raised, Bling. I've also read the story in St. Vincent Times, which you mentioned about portfolios handing over. I think that we have to be careful that we don't go beyond the story said. Go beyond what the story said. The story talks about temporary allocation of these portfolios. If Friday traveled over the period concerned and he's out of state, somebody has to do the job. So that is in the natural course of things. these portfolios will be accorded to the Deputy Prime Minister. I did that also with Montgomery Daniel. Nothing arose. Very interestingly, the public were not exercised about that because that's a normal thing. But the public exercised about that because of Leacock wanting to grab power. And Cummins had already said at the time when Leacock offered himself for leadership, Cummins said on the radio when in opposition, he could never support Leacock for leader because he's power hungry. There's a tape on Nice Radio with that, you know. Cummins said that Leacock is power hungry. Well, Cummins talk a lot of foolishness, but the way Leacock behaving, Cummins is wrong on that one. He wrong about many, many things. But he ain't wrong about that one. Eh? He said that Leacock, he said, I could not, remember when he was thinking about himself as leader, but when he wasn't getting any support, he said he'll support Friday. He said, I cannot support Sinclair Leacock because he is power hungry. You remember that? Well, but Leacock showing us that he power hungry because look at all these things. So it's in that context. And I could understand why one has to carry the story. But that's why I say, but we have to read it carefully. Because nobody would think that Montgomery would want to grab power from Ralph. But everybody got it in their head that Leacock want to grab power from Friday. Eh? And the public also will say, well, Ralph will not allow Montgomery to grab power from him.
Yes.
Even though Montgomery wouldn't do it. But if that were to happen, Ralph would never allow that. But Friday is so weak that fellas just say, well, boy, you know, Leacock in stages, go take the power. And then, of course, the context of the case comes in. But the truth is this is just a normal temporary, but what Ernesto has written about, he says the temporary handover of those portfolios until Friday return to the country. Well, that is just normal. You see the point I'm making? Unless there are other things in the matter beside the pestle. And among the other things is that the power hungry thing in people's head. So the word temporary with a man out of the country doesn't say, boy, you give that even temporarily. What you going to do when you give him temporarily? They have a problem, you know.
Of course.
They have a serious problem.
Of course.
Because more than half of the cabinet ain't trust him. Let me tell you this, you know. Do you know I went to an event late last year, Friday was not in the country. Certainly he was not wrong. But Leacock went to the Taiwanese event when the boat came. That a function outside. And people tell me they overheard ministers who were there. Because there are several ministers who are gathered there before Leacock. Leacock came in full with all the vehicles. Well, you know, they have more vehicles following. All the bells and whistles and all the sirens. And the fellas were saying, the ministers, watch him now. He come with all of that thing there, he Friday just gone out of the country a day or two. You know, this man, you know, we all this excessive thing. Because, you know, I hear he has Well, you see the number of vehicles which accompany. Vincent used to drive. Vincent as Minister of National Security. He used to drive from Spring every day. Come down and go back out without any security with him. Vincent.
Yes.
But Leacock, understand that downstairs, out by the office, SSU, you have upstairs. But he's creating an aura as though he's dealing with all these large and such sensitive things that somebody want to come at him. It's not like he's the head of government. I mean, I can understand the head of government. You know, there's a certain acceptance for a particular level of protection and so forth. But he's already with all this thing. He's a bells and whistles man. You know, that's why the man tell you must call him Major.
Of course.
You know what I mean? He's when he talks on a subject, bling. He says, you know, I've done so and so and so and so and so and so. I'm an authority on this particular. Is the first man. He doesn't rely on what he says to sound authoritative. He declares himself that he's an authority, so that whatever he says in a particular subject, you listen to him carefully, you think he's a military genius, but the man was a major in the cadet corps in St. Vincent and Grenadines. Eh? I mean, I don't understand. Eh? No, this is really a lot of lampooning could be done about how this brother is behaving. Eh? Overall, Dublin, the wickedness of this government and their undemocratic tendencies, they're doing it while hypocritically and with Orwellian mountains talk about transparency. They are the least transparent. Our record is there, you know, and recognized by Transparency International as a good record for all the years, down to 2025, the last report. And on democracy and civil rights and human rights, we are in the top tier in the world. All these things, the international institutions and independent global civil societies comment on these things. And while that is happening, in order to do their undemocratic, hidden kind of work, they then tell you that they're going to be transparent.
Yeah.
So they would tell you that they put out something for tender for something. But they done in circumstances which doesn't involve overseas money. They're handpicking who they want. You hear me? No, if it involves CDB money, the tender has to pass CDB muster. If they're using World Bank money, it has to pass World Bank procedure procurement muster. If it's money from Saudi Arabia, it has to pass muster from Saudi Arabia. You're using Taiwan money, it has to pass muster for them too. But if it's, let's say for instance, you want to give people things out at some, if you want to give somebody the job to clean the airport, which just involve a local thing, they go pick who they want, you know.
Yeah, man.
Eh? They go pick who they want. So all this all this thing about transparency. If you're using other people's money and the procedure has to be satisfied, you have to go through that. You do your own procedure, but your procedure also, you have to get what is called no objection from the funding agency.
Yep.
And part of the thing, they see whether your procedure is in line with theirs. Well, of course, I left modern procurement procedures and procurement laws for them. And the chairman, Edmund Jackson, is a good and independent man. He and his board, procurement board, in following these things at hand. I walk wrong tongue yesterday, as I tell you. Bling, you would think that we just win election. I'm talking about ULP. Taxi man shouting, minibus man, Comrade, we want you back right now.
Yes.
People on the road stopping photographs, children calling me from across the road to move from one place to the next. It's taking such a long time. Of course, you know, I'm always available and there with people. Even NDP people, some NDP vendors in Middle Street, who even shortly after the election, when you pass it, tell you what a whopper 14-1, making jokes with you, because when they say what a whopper 14-1, I say, talk to me in 6 months and tell me how you feel.
Yeah.
Talk to me in 6 months and tell me how you feel. Well, they're telling me how they're feeling now. They tell me how they're feeling now. In fact, there's one woman in Middle Street, you know, she supported Leacock. So I said to her, I said, well, next time, you know, you come to me. She said, no, I ain't leaving him. She said, I ain't leaving him for no red man. That's what she said. I said, well, let me ask you this. If you're leaving, if you have to choose between a red man from Beckway and a red man from Connery, which one you choose? She said, I go choose the Connery red man. I tell her I go say that in Parliament, you know. But no, is pecan. There is, and people are catching the nenen. A lady meet me, a young lady. She said, Prime Minister, I never called to tell you thanks, but now I will tell you thanks. She said, through you, I got a scholarship to do my first degree and my master's. She said, I didn't have to pay any money. All I had to do is pay attention to my classes. I didn't have to pay money, I just had to pay attention. That's all she said she had to do. And that is replicated. I told her, I said, well, that is what we have done to thousands of people. I said, which is now being reversed. The teachers complaining left, right, and center about Philip Jackson.
The man who has you on his mind when he goes to sleep.
Yeah. It's really, but you almost could say it served those in the teachers' leadership right, you know, because they came out against the ULP government when I always accorded them and insisted that my ministers of education accord the unions respect. You may disagree with the union leadership with this or that, but you can't disrespect people. The first thing he came out, he blasted teachers. No, Bling. Explain to me how it becomes the business of go into a representative office. They're telling you that you must come to their offices, their constituency offices, bling. And they will entertain the first 50 persons. And after that, they're not entertaining anymore. So it's only 50 persons per constituency going to get assistance. That's the first thing. The second thing, bling, what does this have to do with a constituency office? This is something which is done by the state administration, by the public servants. Then, I understand that the Minister of Works has put out something that if you want work on the road, you could come between 9 and 3 at the constituency office. His constituency office, but after that, don't, that is the end of that, 9 to 12, or words to that effect. I haven't seen it, but this is what I'm told. No, the state, the party is not the government.
Nope.
You may influence behind the scenes. You may ask for consideration to be given to A or B person, but you don't go about selecting people. You can't do that. That's the business of the public service. That's the business of the public servants, the authorized public officers. But they ain't doing anything. They ain't achieving anything. So, road walk now. They're starting on the 3rd of August. The 3rd of August is not, you're not going to be able to do all the requisite work, requisite cleaning, and get paid on time. But let us assume that all of that gets done. I don't know how much money, and the people, how much money they're going to spend. Remember, I said that I would expect in this period where things have been so difficult, bling, that you would not do a normal 3 million. You will try and see if you could do 4 to help people back to school, particularly since you're not, social welfare ain't helping in the way in which we used to help. Huh? And is Bragsa and its employees who would select the persons in the communities to go and work. But they want to take control of it in a direct political manner. Completely wrong.
Persons are asked to go by their constituency office.
They asked to go by the constituency office. The constituency office now that's a political office, that's a governmental office. Okay. And why are they dealing with the matter rather than allowing Bragsa to deal with it? I could see a fella saying in the practical world, well, I see you all select so many persons to work in the teams, gangs, and you have so many doing contracts. Could you help John Brown? Because I know he's a good man and I don't think his name is Dung. Could you give consideration for him? You make a representation, Bragsa. You know what I mean? But you don't. You bare face. Everybody. Everybody blink. You selecting them politically?
Yep.
It's wrong.
Yep.
Dangerous.
Very,
Undemocratic.
very dangerous.
44% of the people vote Labour, you know. Louis understand that?
True. True.
So if you see a crowd of 10 people, at least 4 of them inside of that crowd vote Labour, you know. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Christian Council is silent about all these things. They're silent about all these things. People losing patience with them, you know. People are losing patience with the established churches in the country. Because a lot of this thing going on and they're not saying quite. Nothing they're saying.
Nothing at all.
Occasionally you'll get an evangelical or Pentecostal preacher or Seventh-day Adventist preacher who will talk something like this, about this. But I ain't hearing no Methodist, I ain't hearing no Anglican, I ain't hearing no Roman Catholic.
And I heard a pastor said the place hard like rock.
You'll get a few of these born again Christians to speak out. Fear the leaders. And we are in a fiscal and economic crisis. And you know why? What is the definition of a crisis? A crisis is a condition in which the principals are innocent of the extent of the condition and they have no idea as to the way forward. The fellas are glibly talking this and so on. They're not doing any proper analysis of the situation, want to score political points, and they have no idea as to the way forward. And meanwhile, the problems in the country mountain. I hear leading NDP persons saying now, supporters say they don't know how long they can bite their tongue.
That's true.
Then the world outside, they're behaving as though no engagement with it in an efficacious manner to make things better for us on the external front. We are in trouble. We are in real trouble. But we are here to clear the pathway, analyze these issues as they emerge, and look up and look around the corner. No, even some simple nationalist issues bling, touching the soul and the culture of our people. We named, the ULP government named Victoria Park Independence Park. The fellas refer it now to Victoria Park again, you know.
Yeah. Yep. It's so funny.
They gone back colonial. They gone there. They declare what's his name? This airline, Inter-Caribbean, Friday call it the flying ambassador for SVG. The next day, the flying ambassador for SVG insulted and threatened a real life cultural ambassador. And they ain't say one single word. They ain't say nothing to Ackley Holton. Well, we really regret that the fellas behave like this. We're going to investigate it, talk. Nothing at all, you know. Nothing at all. Emancipation Day is coming up on the first of the Saturday the 1st. Today is Wednesday. You hear one of them saying, well, this is a big day. the emancipation of enslaved African bodies, what it means. You always, in government, you hear me on that. I will send a document to Parliament on it. Last year the year before, we had a big cultural festival for emancipation at Victoria Park. Last year, they having it?
They have something at Victoria Park.
The government?
Yes.
Oh, well, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Eh?
That's the thing. It's not being
It not being pushed.
like that.
Is a fella met me in Tongue. So he wanted to invite me to some cultural extravaganza for independence. Last year, they criticized us when we have the Emancipation Cricket Festival. So 1 year, we did the culture, bling, at Victoria Park. The next year, last year, we did Emancipation Cricket Festival at Arnersville. This year, they're bringing CPL for the 7th, 8th, and 9th. But up to now, they ain't tell us how much they pay in CPL. And we asking, and nobody answering. And they say that they're transparent. They're the opposite of transparent. And if you talk, according to the Audit Act, you pay $10,000, you can go to jail for up to 1 month if you not pay the fine. Let's take some calls. By the way, I expect the oil prices, the gas and just like I said Monday, I don't know if they're going to announce it today. Are they going to wait till next week?
They probably would delay it because you spoke of it.
Well, we will hear. But
I have a question early in the program. Someone on the live said, "Bling, please read this question to PM for me, please." So here we go. During the July 2nd meeting of Parliament, you, Dr. Friday, submitted a question for a written answer. That was for the government to state whether 100 acres of land at Chatham Bay, Union Island, was sold. So the person's question is, have you received a response? If yes, could you share with us what the response
I've
is?
received a response to the answer for the written question, the answer. I've received a response.
Okay. So 451-7827, 534-7827. And those are the numbers to call to get into the program. Remember, it's Morning Comrade with Dr. Ralph E. Gonsalves. So just waiting on persons to call. Bling question. Someone on the Facebook has submitted a question as well. Dr. Gonsalves, if the GG has handed the duties of the PM to Likak, how if it that Friday went to the meetings to represent SVG in the capacity of PM? Also, if Friday was relieved of his duties, he cannot sign anything as PM?
No, I think what happened is that unless I see any other information to the contrary, I think what happened, he was out of the country, and while he was out of the country, temporary assignment of these duties were accorded to the Deputy Prime Minister. But as I said before, to answer you, the temporary handing of the duties, it becomes a story because Friday behaving as though you want to let go the thing, you want to keep the office, but remember he's a lazy man now, and Leacock they're power hungry and want to talk about everything under the sun. You know, some people tell me that Leacock leave here and go out by the airport. He's a minister airport to talk about who telling the workers out there who you want to get contract to clean, to clean the airport. Yeah, I mean, the workers talking about it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't understand how government could run like that. You're bound to have confusion.
Of course. There's a two-part question here.
Sure.
For clarity, can the PM explain the difference with the legislative changes relating to dual citizenship put forward by this current government versus what was being proposed by Pierre Campbell back in 2009? And the second part of that, also a lot of people will ask, so perhaps PM can explain why SVG's fuel surcharge is so much higher generally than Dominica's.
Yes. Now, first of all, the 2009 recommendations which were put to the people didn't involve any retrospective legislation in respect to eligibility for a member, for somebody to be nominated and to sit in the parliament, to be nominated for elections, to run for elections, or to sit as a representative, or indeed as a senator. So there was nothing retrospective in that regard. And secondly, what was being done was not being done to help any one individual or two individuals, was to say, okay, let's put this thing broadly. We have a lot of incentives, for instance, in America, which is not a Commonwealth country, that you're saying that someone could be a representative even if he has dual citizenship, and that you should extend that not only to anybody from the Commonwealth but to places like America. But the point I make all the time, the people said they wanted to leave the law as it is. They didn't want anybody to have any dual loyalties. They didn't want you to have divided loyalties. They want you to have loyalty only to St. Vincent and the Grenadines if you want to go to the parliament.
Yep.
Simple.
Yep.
They made their determination.
And the oil, the surcharge.
Oh, I am not so sure about the situation in Dominica. What is happening here is that the price of the fuel which they charge in the case of Sol out in for the Vinlec is the price at which they themselves are given, and they pay accordingly to that particular price. I am not sure whether the Dominican government has subsidized directly or whether the Dominican government has, that the suppliers supply at a cheaper price than what they get, the suppliers to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So I'll have to inquire into that. But what we have here, Friday said that he has put in a cap on the fuel surcharge. He said so in the election. People elected him on that basis. There is no cap. He said on his in May 29th press conference that he has put a cap.
Yep.
The head of Vinlec says there is no cap. Nobody tell them that tell Vinlec that there's a cap. Friday talk. Like how he talk in the election to bamboozle people. Even talk on the 29th of May. But there is no price cap. This is why there's no cap on this fuel surcharge. That's why it has gone past the highest number ever. The highest number ever was in July before now. It's July 2022, when it was 69 cents. It's now 83 cents. And I want to repeat, in April, it was close to 55 cents, 54.9 cents. Call it 55 cents. So it is nearly 28 cents since April. Gone up per unit, per kilowatt hour. It's a big number. And we are going to have a problem going all the way forward. And additionally, we would be owing these oil companies, I will say, up to the end of April was $12 million. For May and June and July, May and June and more than half of July, I will say that it's probably another 10, maybe even up to another $12 million. So, and by the way, since I talk about the Moody's, I explained what the Moody's rating is all about. The opportunists and those and those stuffed with malice and those who just come up for water every now and again to take air and don't know about, they have self-awareness of their own bias. That I notice to stop talk, because I will take them on, because they're talking crap. We have a downgrade because of the mountains, and more than that, the policies of the NDP. They couldn't even, we negotiated 30 million US at very generous rate of interest, and for 20 years, including 5 years grace, from the OPEC Fund for International Development. They couldn't keep it. They get only 20 they get. And they had to be borrowing money, short-term money, relatively by government bonds for up to 7.25%, and only 6 years to pay it back. The fellas choking themselves, and they're talking about debt swap to which would amount to a haircut for the private bondholders from St. Vincent and the region. They'll take a haircut. They'll take loss, and it would be among to a default. And we had never defaulted before.
Okay, so we have a call on the line.
Sure.
Caller. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, comrade.
Hey! Greetings.
What's up?
Aye, all right.
Greetings to you.
Thank you.
Yes, on the 15th of July, I was coming through Paul's Avenue, and a young lady met me. And she said, Lovon, can I speak to you a minute? And I said, no problem. She said, I am an auxiliary. And because I stand up for my rights at work, one of the workers reported her. And she said, an ex-policeman, she did not tell me who the policeman be, told her that she don't have no work from today, which is the same day. And she is going to be fired. And he is fired, the young lady. And I said to her, so they pay off? She said, no, they only give you 1 month's salary. And she said, school is opening next month, and I cannot afford to send my children into school because he come and fire me. So I said, well, fight the battle.
Absolutely.
Don't leave it up, so.
I want her to come and see Ferdinand at the office here, and who would send her to Adrian Odell, a lawyer. And I will, when I get back on the 12th, I would also see the information. I will ask them to hold the information for me. I will take up the matter.
Yeah, the young lady, stripper. Comrade, yesterday, I didn't go into town early and was getting calls. Comrade, let me tell you, they say here, the NDP supporters said, if they call election today, they're going to vote for the Labour Party backing government because it is too much pressure. It have a young man that sell burgers. He supported the NDP right through. They say if you hear him yesterday with the words I won't say it on the radio.
Yes.
And he can't wait to get rid of them. It's time enough for them to go. They haven't done anything what they said they was going to do. And comrade, people are fed up. Even them in the market say, oh, them be waiting for see if they get people come out there to support them yesterday. They said they ain't not going behind them anymore. They say they fool them with promises. And that's why they go out and vote for them. And nothing happening. Look, I was in a business place, 2 Miller Street, Steph business place. She wouldn't mind if I call it. And a young lady came in there and she was telling Steph, boy, it's the worst carnival. She said she don't even make a sense. She said, I would talk like I am going to talk it. She said, it's the worst government ever come in SVG. She said, NDP has nothing to offer. She said, look, sometimes she don't even come down to sell because just coming down and opening up is just a waste of time. Nothing going on.
Lavon,
and when they talk about nothing going on, they tell themselves, oh, you're lying. You're not lying. People, their own supporters are crying out, comrade.
They're heartless. They're heartless. And some of the things they're doing. I mean, I could talk about hundreds of cases that come to me. But you have a situation where there's a woman who has completed 2 years of her degree at the global campus. Her mother was sick, and then her mother died. She was the one looking after her mother. She didn't get to, because of the sickness and death of her mother, she intended to go in and take in the application for the scholarship again for this year, which is her final year. She went after the deadline closed. And she appealed to politicians, and she also went to the relevant authorities, civil servants. And the political people say, well, you had time to send in the application, you ain't send it in, that you ain't considered. She goes to the public servants. They say, well, their instructions are take nothing after the deadline. Doesn't matter what the situation.
My God.
They send her correspondence to tell her if she doesn't have the money and she ain't take no loan, she could always postpone her final year for a year and make sure she apply next time on time. No.
My.
The examples which on all different sorts of things. The number of people who come into me with about books, about uniform. Yes. People, there are some persons who, for one reason or the other, never join any friendly society, and somebody died, and they want a little help. No help is available, or very limited. It is just It's cruel. It is wicked what is happening. But
Yes,
I had told
it's ridiculous, man.
I had told people that this will happen, I had told people.
Yes, you said it.
I warned them
You said it, comrade.
over and over again.
You warn them, you beg them, and they still go out there and they vote. You know, a lady in Central Kingston say, she said she saw Leacock. So she said, Leacock, I'm asking for a job for my grandson. He said to her, address me properly, and he walk off on her. So like you want the lady to say, Deputy Prime Minister, I'm asking you for a job for my grandson. She said, well, he used to come for campaign. You could have called him anything. You could have said, but no, because when he see it now, he tells she address him properly and he walk off. He did not listen. He just walk off on her. She said she's waiting.
I'm not surprised.
Me too. I didn't surprise either.
But why people think you not change?
What is the name? What is a name? What is a name that going, Lord of mercy? What is the name calling you Deputy Prime Minister? Look at anybody that's meet you, Comrade, and say, Comrade.
Call me Comrade, call
and
me
you're
Ralph.
answering.
None of them.
They call you Ralph, you're answering.
You people, when I was Prime Minister for nearly 25 years, I am baptized Prime Minister.
Exactly. That ain't going to take you to heaven.
I am baptized Prime Minister.
You, boy.
I know I'm the Prime Minister. They know I'm the Prime Minister if they say Ralph. I want you to help me with something. I wouldn't find it a disrespect. They say, Comrade. In fact, I find it an endearment. Of course. I find it an endearment.
And Comrade, you know, people, the same thing with the school thing. Because they said that's what the guy was cussing about yesterday. Imagine it take away the school supplies. Mothers can't even send their children to school. Look at this government. Fool we. That's what them saying. Fool we. And look now, everybody laughing at us because they can't get no help now. And they can't go up the step because all the chairs are gone and they're not seeing you.
Well, I hear up there's like a ghost town.
Like a ghost town because they don't want nobody up there.
They want nobody up there. But I tell you, the number of people who every morning I walk with Sarai. Sometimes starting between 6:30, 6:45. You know, I walk in going down the road.
Really?
Yeah, I walk in going down the road. And practically every single day in recent time, a mother coming up the road, come look for me. From all about, people coming from far.
Mm-hmm.
About the children going back to school.
Yeah. I just want to say, comrades, tomorrow is Uncle Julian's sister funeral. So who can attend? Let's show him our support. So I'll come out in all your numbers and show Uncle Julian.
Tell them where the funeral is being held.
The funeral is being held at the church next to the Botanic Garden.
Wonderful.
The big church there, as soon as they turn the corner to Nemo.
Yes.
Get the name of the church,
Yes.
What's right there, you'll see all the vehicles there.
Yes.
And it starts from 1 p.m. tribute, and it's 1 o'clock tribute, 2 o'clock service. So let us go out and show Uncle Junior our support.
Wonderful.
For his sister.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Comrade.
She was a pearl greater than the tribe.
Yeah. Yeah, and give my little Sarah, as usual, my help for me.
Well, I was with her. I went with her yesterday evening, going by, I went to see Viga Haksha family, because Viga died. Related to Vincent. Strong, also Pastor Haksha, same family. So I went to the house, And when she entered the house with me, she heard in a bedroom and from the TV was a song, "The Wheels of the Bus Go Round and Round." Miss Rachel, no, you know this thing with the thing. She take off she shoe and walk wrong in the bedroom like she owned the house. They say really that really Ralph Grant picked me.
Yeah, boy.
She
Safe
enjoyed.
flight there, comrade.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, safe flight. God safe flight. Come.
Yes.
We love
God
you.
bless. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's take another call. Go right ahead.
Yes. Comrade?
Hello.
Yes, my dear
Hi,
sister.
Comrade, my Prime Minister. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
I'm in good health.
You know what happened?
Go ahead.
Me and you is the same sign, you know, Leo. We are Leo, so you know what I mean. We are strong and we are ambitious. We are God-fearing people, and we are people who are covered
And loving
blood
and
of
generous.
Jesus. Come on now.
Loving and generous.
But you know what? I just want to say Vincent is now waking up to the harsh reality, that which they did last year, November, when you called the date for the election, when they went out and vote against you. Because if they could realize now that when they vote and remove your government, it was really against you personally. Some of them start to realize that it's against themselves they vote against.
Things are difficult.
They voted against themselves. And this is the harsh reality of the fact that, okay, I understand they made a mistake last year. So what if an election want to call whenever soon, in the next 5 years?
They have to correct the mistake. And the sooner we correct the mistake, the better for them and the country.
Right. Okay, good. Well, you stay blessed. And you know what happened? You see, God open up doors. God keep opening up more doors for you, man. They can't keep a good man down.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Love you. Bye.
God bless.
And got some questions, but because of these so many comments coming in, looking for a few of the so you could go ahead in the meantime.
Sure. You can watch when a government is spending a lot of time and energy on flimsy things, trying to make them bigger than they are. Yes, somebody's on?
Yes.
Hello,
good afternoon.
Hello.
Good day, Mr. PM.
Hey, Kojo.
Yes, I was supposed to come and see you, but you made the appointment when I had to go to Betway.
I see.
I have people with me. I couldn't disappoint them and leave them stranded.
I know how that goes, man. And you're back in California?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay.
All right. Anyhow, I just thought to figure out, how can you go around telling people that you can't pay your bills and expect to go and borrow money?
But that's the point.
If you can't pay your bills, you can't go to no bank when they check your credit is bad. Once your credit is bad, you
not only
get as much as you want.
Not only that, you tell them your credit is bad, and you tell them the debt you have is not sustainable, and then you want to go ask them for money.
No, they can't.
Your banker, your banker would ask you, Mr. Mason, could you please give me the name of your psychiatrist so I could call him? Because you have to be a crazy man.
But you know, when I really call you for it, guys, I just read it on Facebook. I hope it's not true. I read the minister who in charge of South Leeward, that's South Leeward, right? Cannon
Yes.
Park here. He's asking people to for the job that they want to clean this thing, they have to come to his constituency office and sign up.
Well, that's
For real?
that's what I understand. I was talking about it a little while earlier. I said this is total madness. You have to.
Is that for real?
Bragsa is the authority authorized by Parliament to deal with this. Look, Kojo, you have these two sets of workers who clean the road. One, you go in teams, what they call historically gangs. Or you get.
I hope they change that name. I hope they change that name.
Or the yes. Or you get contracts. Small contracts now. Clean this piece might be $300, $400, $500, depending on the size of the thing. No. You may have somebody whom you want to get one of these to be involved in some capacity. You may ask the man in the district for Bragsa, or you may call Ken Bartholomew himself. I say, man, Joe Brong, who is from such and such a village. He's a good man, and I hear they don't have his name down. Give consideration to him now. So if you call Kojo, use your influence, but not your determination.
Yeah.
Is there? But you don't. So you might get one or two like that. But you leave the people to do their work. They're the ones who know the people. Who they hiring. You're going down to that level to see if you're going to politicize who use a cutlass to swab or a weed whacker on road.
But comrade, you want to know now is when they come, where they going to go get the money to pay? Is it by his office they're going to get paid?
But that's the point. That's the point.
Because if I register by you, that means I have to come by you for the. You understand what I'm saying? I have to come by you for my pay.
But hear this now. In December, remember we had left the $3 million program ready to start. So they just went and implemented. Only that what they did, they give a shorter number of days to say they will have more people. Then they say, we employ 1,000 more people, which is just pure crap, pure nonsense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're just lying through the teeth. But up to now, I ain't see them say how much money they put in on the program. The back to school program. This cleaning, this particular cleaning.
And that's something that's something you always used to say before it even come out. You used to always say, this is how much money we
I said, this is how much money. But I tell them, I said, normally this time, so we go do 3 million, 3.5 million. I said, but the way things are difficult with people and they're not helping, they have to see if they can do a 4 million. And the place they really need to clean up. And, but they haven't said, because I suspect that they ain't getting anywhere close to those numbers. And then you will say, we will tell you in advance how many going to be in the teams, how much going to be the individual contracts and the small contracts, and how many truckers going to be employed. Mm-hmm. We to tell you that straight up front. And we left that information because the program was approved to start the very week the very days after the election. That was approved. And then they did, and it was the same package of money because we left that money there. Bragsa already had the money.
I tell Kingsley, he tried to tell me that that NDP is going to do at least 3 terms. I tell Kingsley, I said, Kingsley, these young people today, they're like instant cotton. They want things now. You don't deliver, you're gone. You didn't understand that part when I tell him. The youth today, not like our grandparents who say, oh, I love Ralph, oh, I love Friday, and sit down and nothing happens. If you ain't producing, they don't want you. You have to produce.
King,
and right now, NDP is not producing.
You're generous to mention Kingsley as authority. Eh? You know how that go. All right. God bless you, man.
All right.
Take care.
You too.
Yes. By the way, Kojo.
Yeah.
Why is the price of gas now in California?
Right now, since I come back,
yeah.
All depends on if you go by them cheap gas station, the highest price is $6.
$6
something.
$6.
If you go by Chevron and Semtex and them higher gas station, you're paying close to $8.
Well, the taxes in California for fuel is higher than anywhere else.
Yeah, because you know we have to be special out here. We have to put all kind of thing in our gas.
Yeah.
We need this efficiency, that and all. All people just get gas, just thing and use it.
But the average across the United States now is $4 and something.
Because I was in New York, and that's the price I was seeing. I was seeing $4 and the high. They got 3 grades, right?
Yes.
So the lower grade is about $4 and some cents, and the higher grade is about 5 something.
Yes.
So that's the standard price. But if you go like down south, like in Louisiana, them the prices are always lower than.
Well,
there's way the most.
Between May the 29th and June the 29th, we increased the price of gas by $5.09. If you were to increase in 1 month such a high number in the United States, there'd be a riot on the road.
Oh yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
I mean,
and this week you have another increase.
But you know what I tell people that he used was wrong. When he used the word cap, a man tell me, oh no, it's not wrong word, it's just semantics. I say, boss, I do that word cap.
What mean semantics?
It's a hard word. It's a hard word. When you say you're capping, that
means it ain't going beyond that.
I said, yeah. People don't realize if you have a leak, if you have a leak as a plumber, if you have a leak, and I say come and cap your leak. When I cap your leak, you're supposed to see the water.
That's the point.
It's supposed to shut up.
No.
But when you tell me you cap.
But it's not semantics, it's dishonesty. You know you're not going to do it, but you say it. You know it can't be done. They did it in the election, and they barefaced enough to do it while they're in government to say the same thing. But the real world, because remember, let me tell you how government works. Somebody would have given in the Ministry of Finance, from the Ministry of Finance, Friday, some notes to speak to. And Friday talk, and he say we're going to put a cap on gasoline, we're going to put a cap on gas and diesel for at least 3 months. That means no increase above what he had said from May the 29th. And the same thing for the fuel surcharge at Vinlec. But within 1 month, he himself announced prices which break the cap for gas and diesel. And the man from Vinlec, the CEO, is a good man, and Vinlec has good management. Management we left in place. And they say, we ain't get no communication, says a cap. We passing through, because if it's a cap, government had to pay the money, And we ain't get that memo. So Friday talk, but they ain't send nothing to to Finlec. And more than that, the man them in the Ministry of Finance know that is just loose talk. But you can't, as a Prime Minister, talk these things loose. So when a man tell you that is semantics. Semantics what? Is the English language. You put a cap on something. That means for the 3 months there's not going to be an increase. And immediately with Finlec he break his word. And in 1 month time he break his word on gas and diesel.
I always have a saying for people who always think they're getting things for free. I say it's not for free. Somebody has to pay for it. You didn't pay for it, but somebody pay.
Clearly.
There's nothing in this world for free now.
Clearly.
Somebody has to pay. So if you cap it, that means you take any responsibility for the rise of the price.
Absolutely.
You say, well, I will take responsibility for whatever price come now. But you can't.
And you'd you see what you have to do with. I outline a series of measures. Because if even there's the pass-through, what you have to do, there are certain principal items. You take, for instance, flour and rice, because we produce those. You can subsidize those at source. And flour and rice, you can subsidize them at source with the factory down at Camden Park. And say, listen, I know this is how the price going for the flour and this going for the rice. But to make it cheaper, if you keep the price the same way, or if you take off 10 cents a pound, whatever it is, and this thing comes up to so much money, we in 2008, 2009, we did a subsidy for rice, which extended for several years. Because rice and flour are two basic commodities in everybody's diet. So you look for ways practically to ease the pressure on people. And for those who are particularly vulnerable, you have a lot of support services and for them. But what they do, they increase the public assistance from 360 to 500. And then they cut out a lot of other things which make life harder for people. And the minimum pensioners at NIS ain't getting the help.
Comrade, you see that VAT free they say they're coming up again with that. I hope people get smart to realize that people can't benefit from VAT free.
No, but that's the same thing all through America. Those states which do it, the people who benefit, to people who
the people who could afford to spend thousands of dollars.
People who can spend that on items like to buy,
like big TV.
Absolutely. But a lot of people who, if you have the money to do that, they tend to bring them in themselves.
Yeah, they don't want to.
And then the merchants, many of them, chibo in the system.
Yeah. Someone was just talking this morning. People don't realize when they hear they tell you they have a sale. They jack up the price 3 weeks before, then they bring it back down at fashion, and you end up paying more for the.
No, the chibo in the system.
Yeah, people don't know that.
Yeah.
Before that coming, they used to have a thing called consumption tax.
Absolutely.
What 40%, 40-something%.
Yeah.
When that came in, they put the consumption tax and the VAT and everything back. And poor people pay all that.
Well, the fellas in the business know how to deal with this thing and benefit. The poor and working people ain't benefiting. The revenue ain't benefiting. A small group of consumers who have a lot of liquid cash. And, comrade, the businesses who chibo in the system.
Yeah, the tricking people, they were VAT.
Cheap.
You ain't benefiting because a lot of the stuff that you could go and buy as a poor person is almost some of them things are VAT free already.
Yes.
So,
well, the bulk of the usual items. Their person. I remember the first VAT day. A fella came out with a box of chicken wings. He said, "Well, boy, he get his VAT free chicken, but no, there was no VAT on chicken wings before."
So he ain't been now he been back to chicken.
It in your head, it's like the MAGA in America. I saw an interview. Trump said, "I have stopped 8 wars. I'm a man of peace. I've stopped 8 wars." So they interviewing a husband and wife from MAGA. The husband say, "Well, really?" The journalist asked, he said, "Well, I don't really keep a check on these things. And my wife knows about that." And when they asked the wife, they say, "Well, I can't recall any of them, but there are 8 of them. 8 wars."
Yeah, could name not one.
Oh, brother, what a time.
All right.
God bless.
What a time. Yeah.
Thank you very much, our good friend there. I have a question from one of our viewers on Facebook. He said, "Good afternoon, comrade. Will there be any increase in the NIS payment, seeing that public assistance is now $500?
Well, what we are waiting on is for the actuarial review, which should come anytime now. And from that, I expect minimum pensions to rise. But I do not see the minimum pensions rising from $320 plus the $40 that we had put on when we had brought public assistance up to $360, so that the minimum pension wouldn't be below public assistance. I don't see that they're going to increase through NIS itself the minimum pensions to that extent up to the $500. So this is why I say that once you put the public assistance at $500, wherever the NIS increases goes, the government at a minimum has to put the balance to bolster the minimum pension, because it would be unfair to people who contributed to be getting less than those who did not contribute. Because when a man gets, when through the NIS, a man gets $360 now, and the somebody else who didn't contribute getting $500. He don't understand, because as far as he's concerned, NIS is government and the Ministry of Welfare is government. It's massa bull, massa cow. So, at a minimum, and that was the issue that I've always raised. But what they have done, they have increased the minimum pension, the public assistance, but they have cut out a whole range of other things which would be more. They're no longer available. Smokes and mirrors. But the specific question you ask, we're waiting on the actuarial review.
Okay, another question. The Minister of Works advertised the summer cleanup program only to his constituents. Is that conflict of interest for the Minister of Works to do such?
Yeah, but no politician should be telling you to come by their constituency office to sign up for roadwork, because that's a matter. The authority is Bragsa. The authority is Bragsa. Simple, straightforward.
We have a caller on the line. Go right ahead.
Hello.
Hey, Dr. Gonsalves. Good morning.
Hey.
Good afternoon.
My brethren, are you back in the land, or are you still in Europe?
U.S.
I'm in New York.
Oh, you're in New York. All right.
Yes, I'm in New York. New York. I am doing a book tour of North America. So I was in Canada, and now I'm in New York. From New York, I go to Philadelphia.
How is it going thus far?
Not bad so far, you know. And a new book is coming in December, which I hope that you would read, because I think it's important sociologically, economic.
I shall read.
Sociological history and the psychology of our society, but it's all in literature. But that's another discussion. How are you doing? Talk to me. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
I'm concerned about that.
Well, I'm in good health. I'm doing a lot of work nationally, doing the work on the radio. I'm doing work in the law courts. I'm doing work. You know, we secured bail for the 16-year-old girl from Connery.
Yes, I'm following everything as you know.
I'm doing work in the region. A lot of speaking engagements I have coming up. I'm doing work globally, as you know. The government of Ghana, acting on behalf of the African Union, just invited me to sit on the Global Global Advisory Council for Reparatory Justice.
Yes, I saw all of that. I'm following things.
So I'm doing writing.
But how are you and your girlfriend doing? How are you and the young lady doing?
Well, I tell you, I had to take her to South Rivers yesterday evening, because I had to go by to see the family of Vega Aksha. And she was in her element. She was in her element. She's a real. This morning I gave her a piece of fried roast breadfruit, frying coconut oil. Man, she was, after she had plum rose, I took her for a walk. So I had to go to England.
Yes, I heard.
I had to go to UK, and then she's coming with me. I was talking to her this morning to tell her that I'm going, and I'm taking her with me and her mother. But she apparently didn't quite. She thought that I realized, I pointed and talked about the plane and showed, and so when she saw me taking my clothes out to have them packed now, she was she looked as though she felt that I wasn't taking her, so she was holding on on me, and she was holding on on me, and everywhere I turned, because but she's going.
Great.
She's going. Okay. So she like. I'm trying. Remember, I tell everybody. You grew up in a village in St. Vincent. You grew up in the town in St. Vincent. You must not be circumscribed by your own local circumstances, even though you imbibe the values and the virtues of everything, and you love the nature in which you're growing up.
Yep.
But you also have to be a regional and global personality, especially when you come from an island. A fellow who comes from Iowa, can be just simply Midwestern American. The world revolves around him. And a fellow A fellow who is in the South in Alabama, if you ask him where Iowa, he's so unknowing about things elsewhere. He tell you, oh, is that a place in Africa? So they could afford they could afford to be ignorant about all them kind of things, whatever right or wrong them.
Yeah.
But we have to bring up our young people and train them and educate them in a way in which they are nationals, they love their country, but they're also regional and they're also global. Because that's where the world is. It's one interconnected. Look, you're the author of books. You write here, you write overseas. You use the wellspring of your own Vincentian and Caribbean experience. But you write for our audience, but you write for the regional audience, and you write for the global audience too. This is why you one or more of your books could easily be on the syllabus for study for CXC, and that becomes regional, and you're going global.
Well,
so that
I hope.
So I use you. I'm making the point generally, and you make it. You ask me about Soraya, and I'm linking it with your work, and that's why we have to train the young people. And I know you understand the point because you live it.
Let me paraphrase it for you. So that you know that I totally understand what you're telling me. You said, this is you talking, I'm just repeating what you said, that we're going to change this economy, which at once is global, regional, is national, global, regional.
Yes.
You know, it's a post-colonial economy. What you are arguing now is the very same philosophy.
Absolutely.
The Vincentian man must be national, but at the same time, a man who can function.
You must be local.
As regards
you must be local,
regionally,
national, regional, and also
hemispherically as regards the Americas, and globally.
Absolutely.
He must have that understanding. Until he has that understanding, he is not complete in the sense that Vincentian should be complete. That's your argument.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
Absolutely. And we fashion policies accordingly.
Exactly. So I understand totally what you're saying to me. I've always said, I remember me and you talking once in the office, I said you must be a very lonely man, intellectually. Because how many people understand what you're trying to do? How many people truly figure out what is it you're doing? You must be, and I told you, I said, I don't envy you.
Well,
you must be a very, very lonely man.
They're now understanding the joint of all these things and the dangers of a petty parochialism, which is what the current administration is immersed in, and can't see further than their noses.
And which brings me to I don't know how much time you have, but I want to hear you on three basic things.
Yes.
I have a lot of things. You know, when you and I sit down, we talk until tomorrow morning.
Yes.
I'm not doing that now. But there are three basic things. Firstly, as you know, the new currencies of the OECS, on some of that would be Milton Cato and would be the Olympic champion 400 meters from Grenada, right? And so on. And yet you have a government in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that decide that Independence Park must return to Victoria. I don't know if you understand what I'm getting at here, but I'll leave it there. We have the OECS saying, well, you know, what's his name? The 400 meters runner.
Yes.
James, right? From Grenada. We're going to put him on the money. Minister, we're going to get on the money, so and so on. Right? We say this is Independence Park. It does not belong to Victoria. It belongs to us as Vincentian. But they want it. They say it is not Victoria Park. What kind of foolishness is this stuff, Gonsalves? I don't know if this hurt every sensibility in you as a Vincentian, as a patriot, and as a man of decency, who wants to put this country forward. But that is what it does to me. And I'm telling you what it does to me. That's what it does to me. I don't know if it does that to you. That is what it does to me. You understand?
Look.
That's the first issue I'd like to hear you elaborate a little bit on. As I said, I don't know how much time you have. Secondly, I read in the papers this morning that certain changes have been made as regards the administration, the executive of the country. You understand? And that was taken to the Governor General, Sir Stanley, on the 5th of July. We're only hearing about it today. Are we running a clandestine government in St. Vincent? I'd like you to tell us what you think. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I have no choice. You're the leader of your position. That is your responsibility to me and to every other Vincentian.
Absolutely.
That is your responsibility. So I'm wondering now if we run a clandestine government in the country. That is number 2. And number 3, this is a technical matter. Probably you don't have the time to discuss it today. But listen to me carefully. My question is this. Now if you go to the court and the court says that, you know what? Friday, it was not legally elected according to the laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Is this not a question now that we should say, well, probably we need to have fresh elections? Because elections in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I put it to you, Dr. Gonsalves, is fundamentally a question as to who you're going to choose as leader. Let us not fool ourselves about this, you know. I'm not saying, Dr. Gonsalves, I want you to do with me is reason. That is what I want you to do with me. Let us reason. You understand? Let us reason. Fundamentally in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, when we elect a political party, the leader is important to us.
Well,
if the court agrees...
Leadership is vital.
If the court agrees, you understand? If the court agrees that, well then, you know what I mean, this leader was not properly elected. And if my argument that elections in St. Vincent is very importantly, I would put it, also not just about candidate X or Y, but leadership itself, then we have a case. I'm not arguing legally, I'm arguing politically. Not legally, no, politically. We have a case of it, but wait. You and I know, Dr. Gonsalves, that nobody wanted Likop as leader of the NDP for various reasons. Nobody wanted it. Friday is a boy from a village in Beckway, and I make no apologies for that. Friday did not know St. Vincent. He still doesn't know St. Vincent. That's just a fact. And you might call me arrogant, fine. I accept that you call me that. But the truth is, the objective reality is, he did not know St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I can prove that. You know? So this is a boy from a village in Beckway. And referred him over Likop.
Well,
those are the 3 questions.
Let me answer them. The first,
yes.
Simply put, by reverting the name from Independence Park to Victoria Park is backward. It is anti-national. It is at odds with the cultural aspirations of our people, the sense of belonging to something which is special. This place which is special, which is bounded by water, the Atlantic on one side and the Caribbean Sea on the other. This is an act of self-alienation by the government, and there are going to be consequences. And it is coupled with political cowardice. If you want to do it, why don't you just come frontal rather than behaving like a coward? And do it sneakily. So that's with my first response in a summary form. The second one, what was the second again? There was a...
The second was, well, there are 3 things. One that about the fact. Secondly,
Yes.
about the I have to put them in order. Well, the two things of one, whether or not the question if they lose the election.
Yes.
If they lose the
Yes, I think that was the third one. But the question you raised, that third one there, is a legitimate question. That is to say, you went to the election with a leader. The leader is no longer there. Let the people make a verdict on another leader. Let's go back again. Simple, straightforward. Because leadership is vital. Because when it's not only that persons voted for a representative. They vote for a party, they vote for a representative, but they also vote for a leader. And if one of those three elements is out, because all three are conjoined, if one is gone,
Exactly.
let's go back and afford the people the opportunity than for them to have a leader, which they feel which they didn't have a choice in actually selecting.
Exactly.
The
third.
Yes.
The third question that I asked was this: what we have? Do we have a clandestine government?
Yes. I was.
That's the second question, which is now third. Because
yes. Because what I'm saying.
Please explain to St. Vincent. Hold on a second, please. You are a political scientist. You were prime minister for almost 25 years. You know what this thing is about.
I would say this.
This thing happened on the 5th of July, Dr. Gonsalves. And we are only now knowing about it.
No, I think...
Are we running a clandestine government in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? That's my question to you.
Yes, but what I want to say, I have to check the instrument. Because I think what is happening is this. Friday was overseas at that time. And the article said that it was a temporary, and that's all it would be, a temporary allocation of responsibility while the Prime Minister is out. And that happened too when let us say Sir Louis was Deputy Prime Minister of Montgomery Daniel. What I think has caught on people's imagination with this is because the context. Nobody ever thought that Montgomery would want to encroach to take the power from Ralph. And that everybody would know that Ralph wouldn't stand for that. But everybody knows, or at least I will wager that most people in the country most people know to use Cummins' formulation of a few years ago about Leacock, that he power hungry. That even temporary authority passed to him for certain of the portfolios which would normally be attendant upon the office of Prime Minister, where he's Deputy Prime Minister. He go on to do so many things in that short period of time when he has the temporary hold of those the authority that Friday might be amazed. Similarly with Ministry of Finance. Finance,
but you see, Dr. Gonsalves,
coordinating, and then people know that Friday is a fella who is lazy and weak. Say, boy, what the hell is happening here? So even a normal temporary handing of authority because the Prime Minister is away is a matter of great concern to people because they say
Dr. Gonsalves, please.
Yeah.
Dr. Gonsalves, please. I worked for the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for 2.5 years after I returned from university. So I have a little bit of understanding of this thing. But I want to say this thing. Now, my understanding is this. And correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I'm your student and a proud one. I've never denied that. taught me anything. I've never hidden that from anyone. Okay? So if I'm wrong, correct me. As far as I know, from the practice of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, when the Prime Minister is abroad or whatever, he simply advise the country and the Governor General that there is an acting Prime Minister.
Yes.
That is my understanding in the case where there is no Deputy Prime Minister.
You're absolutely
in the case
correct.
of a Deputy Prime Minister, you understand? Everybody logically knows that, okay, Prime Minister such is not here, so Deputy take over, because that's his job, he's Deputy. Nobody goes to the Governor General and lays out all this nonsense. That's the first.
No. What I think
The
is
second
required.
thing is this.
No. Let me just say this. What is required legally is for an instrument to be sent to the Governor General for a temporary allocation of the responsibilities.
Okay.
You
see, this is why we need these discussions.
Yes.
So that you can educate us.
Yes.
Continue, please.
But the point is this. The article spoke about the temporary allocation. But I'm saying that this matter has excited discussion because of the persons who are involved. The people already, from the time they say, oh Lord, this is a grab by Leacock for power. And if you give him a little taste, you want more.
Troubling tongue. Troubling tongue.
And then cases are before the court, election petitions involving Friday, and people see fellas say Friday weak and lazy, and that honestly speaking. But there's a bill which came to Parliament after that, when he came back, dealing with the audit bill, which was signed by him as Minister of Finance, and he piloted that particular bill. So I think it's amazing how apprehensions can occur because of certain things which lie dormant among the people, and it erupts because Onesta was clear that this was a temporary allocation.
Yeah, but that is my problem, Prime Minister. That's my problem, because while he says it's temporal, nowhere in the article which I read, unless I missed something, because, well, I'm getting older, so my eyes might not be as what they were 10 years ago. But nowhere did it say the date, starting this date and finishing this date.
Yeah.
It just said it's temporary. It didn't say that. And nowhere did it say a period when he returns from holiday or whatever. Nowhere in the article is that mentioned, right? I'm not saying that the instrument which you have now just advised the country on did not mention it. I'm talking about the article written in that St. Vincent Times. Okay? I'm not saying that the instrument doesn't have it, but I have not seen the instrument, Dr. Gonsalves.
Yeah.
I'm only talking from the standpoint of the article itself.
While the Honorable Sinclair Leacock already serves as the Minister of National Security, etc., this temporary appointment grants him oversight of a vast array of additional departments and subjects. The mandate is scheduled to continue until the resumption of duties by the Prime Minister Godwin Friday. So the article made the point. But I'm saying, persons read the article. They say, boy, Leacock, this man is power hungry. This man get this thing, this is going to be something. And they have in the back of their head still that Friday week and lazy. So the whole context simply deals with it excited people's concerns because of the context, but so that's the point. That's his point.
I agree with you totally. Now, I want you to step out your crease and try to make a hook. I know you like cricket, right? And I'm asking you to step out your crease. I know you're a careful batsman, I know that, but I'm asking you to step out your crease, right? You don't have to do it, but I'm asking you. My own view as well, is that was done, and so in such a nature, because I think they have surrendered. I think they have surrendered. I think they know they cannot win. That we will win. I said we, not the they, but we. I include myself.
The truth is this.
We will win this case. You understand?
Whether
and somehow or the other, for me, hold on. I'm not finished yet. Hold on, because I bring it home to you. That's why I'm asking you to step out of your crease. Is this a case where the 2.8 million in general, because it's 2.8 million if you calculate everything, that Friday is spending to build a house for himself, if in Corgi Butcher? You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
well, in other words, right? But it's done. It ain't heat, but it's liquor would be inside it.
Well,
so if happening Corgi Butcher,
well, we don't.
You don't want to step out. Just all you have to say, no, I am not stepping out my crease. That's all you have to say.
All right. Now, when are you coming back?
So you're not stepping out your crease?
No. What happened is this. I had indicated before. I have to.
You're not stepping out your crease.
I have to leave. I have to leave because I gotta go and catch the plane.
All right, great, okay.
You know, but I am to be continued. To be continued. Love you. God bless you.
All right, Prime Minister.
Take care.
It was nice talking to you.
Good.
Take care. All right.
Okay.